Do me a favor, call one of your friends, and when they answer the phone, ask them a very simple but fun question. Ask them, why are you breathing so hard? Even if they aren't breathing hard. Go ahead, pause this podcast, call a friend, and then listen to their story that they make up. And if they say they aren't breathing hard, try to convince them just a little bit that they sound a little winded. Hey, this is AJ. Welcome to Kaizen.
Something strange and freaky is happening in the world. Things that are unnoticed shape our behaviors and beliefs. There are stories around us and inside us that influence the way we live. I believe our cultural success is hinged on our curiosity. This podcast will question neuroscience, human cognition, fallacies, consciousness, neurolinguistic programming, and much, much more. My mission is to ask more questions, different questions, and not rely on information from the same old talking heads. Join me on this mission of growth with a sly marketing tilt. Welcome to Kaizen, the sweet science of success.
4, 3, 2, 1.
It had to be a dozen or so years ago, radio personality Ryan Cameron, affectionately known as the Ryan King, asked his listeners and the people that walked into his studio a simple but hilarious question. Why are you breathing so hard? After sounding a little bit confused, callers would justify why they were breathing so hard even though they weren't. Well, Ryan, I had a frustrating day today at work and now I'm sitting in this traffic and maybe that's why I'm breathing a little bit harder than normal. Or, Ryan, I called and it took forever for someone to pick up for me to be on the phone with you. That's why I'm breathing so hard. Or when people walked into the studio, Ryan would ask the same question. Why are you breathing so hard? It's been a long day, man, and I'm finally getting into the studio. That's why I'm breathing so hard. Or I'm just so excited to be here, man. I'm excited to be here on your show. People were making up stories to justify why they were breathing so hard, even though they weren't. This is called confabulation. What is confabulation? Well, confabulation is when we make up a story to justify why something just happened, or it's a way that we provide meaning for a situation that we don't quite have meaning for. Now, the crazy part is lots of times it's completely made up. And it's not malicious like flat out lying to someone, but it's more so a justification. So in the case of Ryan Cameron, there was no reason people were breathing hard. And in many cases there weren't, but the human condition wants us to always come up with a reason for something happening. So let's look at the word confabulation itself. Confabulate means to fill in gaps of memory by fabrication. And even the root word of confabulation is fable or fabulous. And it has to do with not only telling stories, but telling stories that were maybe a little embellished. But again, it is a totally unconscious thing. So I have a question for you. Why are you breathing so hard? Pretty funny. Anyway, so how can we use confabulation in business? Well, there's already a story going on in your customers' heads, in your friends, families, and your customers. But if you're in business more specifically, there's a story that we tell ourselves that justifies why we do things. So if you are selling something, you can ask your customer, well, could you explain to me why success is important to you? And it's one of those questions where we automatically feel like we deserve success, and so do your customers. So what they're going to do is they're going to tell you a story about why they deserve to have the success that they've been, striving for. So for you, all you have to do is ask the questions, allow them to answer those questions, and then position yourself as the person that could provide that success that they already deserve. So remember, we're hardwired to answer questions because we believe in completion. If you ask a question to your customer, they're more than likely going to answer it in their head, even if they don't answer it out loud. And you can leverage that in marketing by answering questions that are to your advantage or to the benefit that your product or service is going to provide. Okay. Now, thank you again for listening to another episode of the Kaizen podcast. We are just getting started. And do me a favor really quickly. I want you to go over to iTunes, Stitcher, Google, Spotify, any of the other podcast platforms. Leave me a 5-star review. If you would, tag a friend, share it with a friend, and tag at AJ Joyner. That's AJJoiner. Tag me on Instagram. And if you have any questions, leave your questions about psychology of marketing, about neuroscience, about human fallacies. We're going to have some fun with this. And we're going to tie it all back to marketing. All right. Again, thank you for listening to Kaizen, the sweet science of